guys, I'm Story. Welcome to another story. Today I'm reading Chapter 2 of The Tale of Emily Windsnap. Chapter 2. It's not exactly the kind of thing that happens every day, is it? It doesn't happen at all to most people, but it happened to me. I was a mermaid. A mermaid? How did it happen? Why? Had I always been one? Would I always be one? Questions filled my head, but I couldn't answer any of them. All I knew is that I discovered a whole new part of myself, and nothing I had ever done in my life had felt so good. So there I was, swimming like a fish. And in a way, I was a fish. My top half was the same as usual, skinny little arms, my bangs plastered to my forehead with seawater, black Speedo swimsuit, and a very soggy jean jacket. But then just below the white line that went across my tummy, I was something else, someone else, something else. My suit melted away, and instead I had shiny scales. My legs narrowed into a long, gleaming purple and green tail, waving gracefully as I skimmed along in the water. I have to say that I have never done anything gracefully in my life, so it was kind of a shock. When I flicked my tail above the surface, it flashed an arc of rainbow colors in the moonlight. I could zoom through the water with the tiniest movement, going deeper and deeper with every flick of my tail. It reminded me of the time we went to the World of Water at summer day camp. We were in a tunnel under the water with sea life all around us. It felt as if we were really in the sea. Only now I really was. I could reach out and touch the weeds floating up through the water like upside-down beaded curtains. I could race along with the fat gray fish that were grouped in gangs, weaving around each other and me as though they were dancing. I laughed with pleasure, and a line of bubbles escaped from my mouth, climbing up to the surface. It seemed as though I'd only been swimming for 5 minutes when I realized the sky was starting to grow pink. I panicked as a new thought hit me. What if I couldn't change back? But the second I pulled myself out of the water, my tail softened. I dangled on the rope ladder and watched, fascinated, as the shiny scales melted away one by one. As my legs returned, and they felt odd, like when your mouth goes numb after you've gotten a filling at the dentist. I wiggled my toes to get rid of the pins and needles in my feet. Then I headed back with a promise to myself that I would be back soon. Bob, the swimming instructor, was standing in front of me, talking into a cell phone. I couldn't hear what he was saying. Somebody grabbed my shoulders. "This the one, is it?" A snarling voice growled behind my ear. Bob nodded. I tried to wriggle free from the man's clutches, but he was holding my shoulders too firmly. "What do you want?" my voice squeaked from my mouth. "As if you don't know," the snarly voice snapped at me. "You're the freak." He shook my shoulders. "I'm not a freak," I shouted. "I'm not." "Stop pretending," a woman's voice replied. "I'm not pretending," I wriggled under the hands holding my shoulders. "I'm not a freak." "Emily, for Pete's sake," the woman's voice said. "I know you're not really asleep." My eyes snapped open to see Mom's face inches away from mine, her hands on my shoulders shaking me gently. I bolted upright in my bed. "What's happening?" "Let go of me." "What's happening, sleepyhead? Is that you're going to be late for skill. Now get a move on." She parted the curtain in the doorway. "And don't forget to brush your teeth," she said without turning around. Over breakfast, I tried to remember my dream and the things I had been shouting. It had felt so real. The capture, the voices. Had I said anything out loud? I didn't dare ask, so I ate in silence. It was on the third mouthful that things went seriously wrong. Mom was fussing around as usual, shuffling through the huge pile of papers stuffed behind the mixer. What did I do with it? What is it this time? "My shopping list. I'm sure I put it down here somewhere." She leaned across to a pile of papers on the table. "Aha, here it is." I looked up in horror as she picked up a piece of paper. Not just any piece of paper, a sheet of purple writing paper. "No!" I yelled, spitting half a mouthful of cereal across the table and leaping forward to grab the paper. Too late, she was unfolding it. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned the sheet, and I held my breath. "Nope, that's not it." Mom started to fold the paper up. I breathed out and swallowed the rest of my mouthful. But then she opened it again. "Hang on a sec. That's my name now." No, it's not. It's someone else. It's not you at all." I snatched the paper. Mom kept it gripped tightly and ignored me. Where are my reading glasses? They were hanging around her neck, as they usually are when she is looking for them. Why don't I just read it to you? I said in my very best perfect daughter voice. But as I was speaking, she found her glasses and put them on. She studied the note. I tried to edge away from the table, but she looked up on my second step. Emily? She took her glasses off and waved the note in front of my face. Want to explain this to me? Let's see now. I examined the note with what I hoped was I've never seen it before in my life, but I'll see if I can help kind of expression on my face. She didn't say anything, and I kept staring to the note, pretending I was reading it. Anything to avoid meeting her eyes while I waited for my lecture. But then she did something even worse than lecture me. She put the piece of paper down, lifted my chin up with her hand, and said, "I understand, Emily. I know what it's about." "You do?" I squeaked, terrified. "All those things you were saying in your sleep about being a freak, I should have realized." "You should?" She let go of my chin and shook her head sadly. "I've been an idiot not to realize before now." "You have?" Then she took my hand between her palms and said, "You're like me. You're afraid of the water." "I am," I squealed. Then I cleared my throat and twisted my hair. "I am," I said seriously. "Of course I am. I'm scared of the water. That's exactly what it is. That's what all this has been about. Just that, nothing more." "Then why didn't you tell me?" I looked down at my lap and closed my eyes tight, trying if possible to squeeze a bit of moisture out of them. I was ashamed, I said. I said quietly. "I didn't want to let you down." Mom pressed my hand harder between hers and looked into my eyes. Hers were a bit wet too. "It's all my fault," she said. "I'm the one who's let you down. I stopped you from learning how to swim, and now you've inherited my fear." "Yes," I nodded sadly. "I suppose I have. But you shouldn't blame yourself. It's okay. I don't mind. Seriously." She let go of my hand and shook her head. "But we live on a boat," she said. "We're surrounded by water." I almost laughed but stopped myself when I saw the expression on her face. Then a thought occurred to me. "Mom, why exactly do we live on a boat if you're so afraid of water?" She screwed up her eyes and stared into mine as if she was looking for something. "I don't know," she whispered. "I can't explain it, but it's just a deep feeling I can never leave King. Never." "But it doesn't make any sense. You're scared of the water, and we live on a boat in a beach resort." I know. We're miles from anywhere. Even Nan and Granddad live at the other end of the country." Mom's face hardened. "Nan and Granddad? What do they have to do with it?" "I've never seen them. 2 cards a year and that's it." "I've told you before, Em, they're a long way away, and we're not. We don't get along very well." "But why not? We had a fight a long time ago." She laughed nervously. "So long ago I can't even really remember what it was about." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Mom got up and looked out of the porthole. "This isn't right. It shouldn't be like this for you," she murmured as she wiped the porthole with her sleeve. Then she suddenly swirled around so her skirt flowed out around her. "I've got it," she said. "I know what we'll do." "Do? What do you mean, do?" "I'll just take the note to school, or you could write one yourself. No one will ever know." "Of course they will. No, we can't do that." "Yes, we can. I'll just..." "Now, Emily, don't start with your arguing. I haven't got the patience for it." Her mouth tightened into a determined line. "I can't allow you to live your life like this." "But you don't..." "What I do is my own business," she snapped. "Now please stop answering me back." She paused for a second before opening her address book. "No, there's nothing else to do. You need to conquer your fear." "What are you going to do?" I fiddled with a button on my blouse. She turned away from me as she picked up the phone. "I'm going to take you to a hypnotist." "All right, Emily, now I want you to breathe nice and deeply." "Good." I was sitting in an armchair in Mystic Millie's back room. I didn't know she was a hypnotist. She did hypnotism, but according to Sandra Castle, she worked wonders on Charlie Hogg's twitch, and that was good enough for Mom. "Try to relax," Millie intoned before taking a very loud, deep breath. Mom was sitting in a plastic seat in the corner of the room. She had said she wanted to be there just in case. In case of what? She didn't exactly explain. You're going to have a little sleep, Millie drawled. When you wake up, your fear of water will have completely gone, vanished, floated away. I had to stay awake. If I fell into a trance and started babbling about everything, the whole plan would be ruined. Not that I had a plan as such, but you know what I mean. What would Millie think if she found out? What would she do? Visions of nets and cages and scientists' laboratories swam into my mind. I forced them away. Very good, Millie breathed in a husky voice. Now I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. As I do, I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine you are on an escalator gradually traveling down lower and lower, deeper and deeper. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. I shuffled in my seat. 10, 9, 8, Millie said softly. I closed my eyes and waited nervously for the drowsy feeling to come. 7, 6, 5. I pictured myself on an escalator like the one in the mall in town. I was running the wrong way, scrambling up against the downward motion. I waited. 4, 3, 2. You're feeling very drowsy. I waited a bit more. That's when I realized I wasn't feeling drowsy at all. In fact, 1. I was wide awake. I'd done it. Hooray! Millie was a phony. The aura thing had been a fluke after all. She didn't say anything for ages, and I was starting to get fidgety when a familiar noise broke the silence. I opened my eyes to the tiniest crack to see Mom in the opposite corner, fast asleep and snoring like a horse. I snapped my eyes quickly shut again and fought the urge to giggle. Now visualize yourself next to some water, Millie said in a low voice. Think about how you feel about the water. Are you scared? What emotions are you experiencing? The only thing I was experiencing was a pain in my side from trying not to laugh. And now think of somewhere that you have felt safe. Somewhere you felt happy. I pictured myself swimming in the sea. I thought about the way my legs became a beautiful tail and about the feeling of zooming along with the fish. I was on the verge of drifting into a happy dream world of my own when Mom let out a huge snore that made me jump out of my chair. I kept my eyes closed tight and pretended I jumped in my sleep. Mom shuffled into her chair and whispered, "Sorry." Not to worry, Millie whispered back. She's completely under, just twitching. After that, I let my mind drift back to the sea. I couldn't wait to get out there again. Millie's voice carried on in the background, and Mom soon started snoring softly again. By the time Millie counted from 1 to 7 to wake me up, I was so relieved I hugged her. "What's that for?" she asked. "Just to thank you for curing my fear." I lied. She blushed as she slipped Mom's $20 bill into her purse. "Think nothing of it, pet. It's a labor of love." Mom was quiet on the way home. Did she know I hadn't been asleep? Did she suspect anything? I didn't dare ask. We made our way through the town's narrow streets, down to the promenade. As we waited to cross the road, she pointed to a bench facing Oceanside. "Let's go and sit down over there," she said. "You okay, Mom?" I asked as casually as I could while we sat on the bench. The tide was out, and little pools dotted the ripply sand I had left behind. She peered out toward the horizon. "I had a dream," she said without turning around. "It felt so real. It was beautiful." "When? What felt real?" She looked at me for a second, blinked, and turned back to the sea. It was out there somewhere. I can almost feel it." "Well, what are you talking about? Promise you won't think I'm crazy." "Of course I won't." She smiled and ruffled my hair. I smoothed it back down when we were at Millie's. She closed her eyes. I dreamed about a shipwreck under the water, a huge golden boat with a marble mast, a ceiling of amber, a pavement of pearl. Huh? It's a line from a poem, I think. I can't remember the rest. She gazed at the sea and the rocks. They weren't like any rocks you've ever seen. They used to glisten every color you could imagine. Used to? What do you mean? Did I say that? I mean, they did in my dream. They shone like a rainbow in the water. It felt so real, so familiar. Her voice trailed off, and she gave me a quick sideways look. But I suppose it's sometimes like that, isn't it? We all have dreams that feel real. I mean, you do, don't you? I was trying to figure out what to say when she started waving. Oh, look, she said briskly. There's Mr. Beast, and I glanced up to see him marching toward the pier. He comes around for coffee every Sunday, 3 o'clock on the dot. Mom makes coffee. He brings honey buns or donuts or bear claws. I usually scarf my down quickly and leave the two of them alone. I don't know what it is about him. He makes the boat feel smaller somehow, darker. Mom put her fingers in the edges of her mouth and let out a sharp whistle. Mr. Beeson turned around. He smiled awkwardly and gave us a quick wave. Mom stood up. Come on, better get back and put the water on. And before I could ask her anything else, she was marching back to the boat. I had to run to keep up. Hope you enjoyed this story. Chapter 3 tomorrow.